We pulled over to the side of the road here. The craziest part about the Rivian R2, and I'm super excited to show you, are these headlights right here. Thank you, Cambry. You can basically drive with your brights on the entire time without blinding other drivers. It's insane. Rivian's letting us borrow this R2 to test it out. It is their less expensive SUV, and
it satisfies my requirement for never having to go to the gas station, and it's a tad smaller, so hopefully it's easier for me to get inside.
Let's find out. So Cambry, why do you not like going to gas stations?
Because I have to get in and out of the car a couple of times just to pump the gas. I almost forgot what it was called because I haven't gone in so long. But yeah, I don't like that unnecessary transfer just to get gas in my car to go.
Okay, let's see if the Rivian R2 works. So right off the bat, I can see your head is basically in line with the door handles, which is kind of the same that we saw with the Rivian R1S. So I'm not having super high hopes about the ease of transferring. And Cambry, since you're not going to use your legs to drive, how is it that you can handle these vehicles?
So I have these temporary hand controls that attach to both the pedals, and then my hand utilizes both of them. And yeah, and I can just drive a regular car.
Actually, that was
pretty darn good. Okay.
That was way easier than I thought.
Shocked.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay,
well. Rivian.
But if I'm not with you, how do you get your chair into the car by yourself?
Well, let me show you. Gotta create as much space as possible so I can pull my chair through.
Nice. So this is called a rigid manual wheelchair, and we actually built this one, but it comes apart in 3 pieces, 4 pieces with the cushion. Oh, and well, I guess the side guards come off.
I take these guys off.
There's a lot of pieces.
I guess you don't have to, I just do.
And so the R2 doesn't have the handle up top, right?
Yeah, it's just a speaker.
Huh. So she takes off the brakes. You're still a little high off the ground.
Can I do anything about that?
No.
Okay. Here we go.
So you can kind of get an idea of why gas stations aren't ideal.
My nemesis. So I put the wheels in the back.
But tell them what you drove in college.
Oh, a Jeep Grand Cherokee.
So Cambry likes the vehicles that have a little bit, you know, higher suspension.
Come on, wheel. There we go. If there's a will, there's a way.
And then she uses her biceps.
My own little mini gym. There we go. Now I'm gonna have Zach put it together and put it in the back.
Yeah, when we travel together, it's a little bit easier, but you know, we're not always together, so. Which is also another reason why we need an SUV, because the wheelchair fits nicely in the back, and it's easier for us to get around together. You ready?
Let's do this.
We are currently headed to our wheelchair factory, where we're gonna see if one of our off-road wheelchairs fits in the back. There is a lot of room back there, but our off-road wheelchair is also pretty big. So Cambry, how do these hand controls work?
Okay, so these are my temporary ones, but they all generally work the same. So if I pull back, it accelerates the vehicle. And then if I push forward, it's the brakes. So one hand on the handle here and one hand on the steering wheel.
So there's no texting and driving for you.
There's no texting and driving for me.
As no one should be texting and driving. How long have you been driving with hand controls?
Oh, I have to do the math. So I got hurt from a horseback riding accident when I was 18. So I don't know if I want to say how old I am.
Have you been driving with hand controls longer than that?
Yes, I've been driving with hand controls for like 20 plus years. And then obviously since I was 18, I drove with my feet for like 2 years. So driving with my hands feels way more normal to me.
And how does driving the R2 feel?
So great. I really like the ride. I don't know, Rivian does a really good job. We've tested out quite a few vehicles and I like my ride height. I like just the ease of it. Took me about 2 minutes to figure out kind of where I was at in it, and I love it. I've driven like quite a few vehicles with a couple different varieties of hand controls, and when I like fly somewhere and have to borrow a vehicle, I've had temporary hand controls in those vehicles.
So wait, so when you rent a car, they can supply you with temporary hand controls?
In the US, I've run into some obstacles elsewhere, but in the US, if you notify them with ample time, they can get you a vehicle with hand controls installed.
That's cool.
Yeah, really cool, really nice. So this one time I was driving one of these said vehicles, and I think it was like a 4-hour drive from the airport to our destination. And halfway through, the hand control collapsed. It came off of the acceleration, which was nice because like I was able to pull over to the side of the road and brake the car, or put the brakes on.
Yeah, put the brakes on.
Didn't brake the car, put the brakes on. And I wasn't sure how to fix it, but luckily I was driving with someone else, so they just hopped in the seat and I was the passenger princess for the rest of that trip because they're not always 100% apparently. But that's the only time I've had an issue with it.
What's also fun is like the hand controls aren't like the peak of the accessibility. Like there's people who can drive even with less hand function and even like without hands at all. Like there's people who drive using their feet on the steering wheel. So it's cool that there's a lot of solutions in place, hardware in place for people to drive if they need to and or want to.
I remember the moment they released this vehicle, you were at the event and you sent me a picture and I was like, yes, I want that vehicle. But I am at a different phase of life right now where I have to figure out my children and myself needs, I should say.
We have 2.5 kids at the moment. Do the math on that one.
2.5.
So car seats are rather important to us, and I already know there might be an issue with the car seat situation, knowing the doors, but we'll test it for real here in a second. So what you're saying though is like
if it was just me, I would get this vehicle in a heartbeat. Yeah.
But since I
have 2.5 dependents,
because you have to get them in and out of the car seats. They're not at that point yet where they can do it themselves.
Correct.
I feel like Rivian's trying to go after kind of the more outdoorsy vibe. They have a bunch of accessories that help you, camp outside with like a tent on the top. They also have an adapter that goes into your charging port and power like coolers and stuff. It adds another outlet to your vehicle, even though there already is one in the back. I feel like Rivian is for people who want to experience nature, which we appreciate nature.
We do.
We do. One of the ways that Rivian was able to cut the price in half from the R1S with this R2 is they, instead of using like an air suspension, they use active dampers, which is a semi-active suspension system that can kind of regulate the spring strength as you're driving down, like a bumpy road or hitting a crack in the road or going over a curb. It can adjust the suspension in real time to match road conditions. The semi-active suspension has 3 more inches of ground clearance than the Tesla Model Y for better off-roading. We are currently driving in the 4-wheel drive Performance Edition, which has more horsepower and more torque than a Lamborghini Huracan, and a 0 to 60 of 3.6 seconds, which is wild. And speaking of driving and accessible driving, the Rivian does have something called Universal Hands-Free, which Cambry can pull the stalk back twice and it will drive by itself following the lines on the road and will be capable of destination, like point to point, navigating for you from your driveway to your destination this fall or early 2027. And that is also when they're gonna drop the R2 with the LiDAR module in the top. So if self-driving or automatic driving is something important to you, I would kind of wait till that LiDAR module comes out. Now let's see if the rig fits. Into the factory she comes. So we build the rigs over here, and we build the regular wheelchairs over here, and then we have the Rivian R2 just hanging out. We're gonna see if that guy right there fits in the back. It's fun how the color changes. Like when it's outside, it looks like a vibrant green, but when it's indoors, it's more of like a dark, I don't know, it's how to describe it. It's like a dark green. How was it?
Nerve-wracking to drive in here, but it was smooth.
We will open the back hatch.
That's how I get out.
At the wheelchair factory, we build the least expensive active manual wheelchair in the USA, the kind Cambry uses. We call it the Paradox Project, as well as we assemble heavy-duty off-roading wheelchairs, which we call the Rig. Drop the seats down. Oh, look at all that space. So there's a motor in every single tire, and so far right now it looks like it might not fit. Yeah, but the handlebars do fold down and the seat does recline, so it could, go either way at this point. But yeah, the off-road wheelchairs are insane. Obstacles are no problem. There she is. Fits like a dream. I never doubted. Let's go. Heck yeah.
We open this thing.
There's a button right here. What's cool though is that this windshield wiper is in like a heated enclosure, so like when snow and stuff comes down on it.
Very fancy.
Yeah.
That's nice. No way.
Hey. She's cozy. It's in there, Cambry.
I didn't think that was gonna happen.
So now you have to decide between your kids or the off-road wheelchair.
My kids.
Took you a second. One little quirky thing that Rivian added, so obviously you can control the windows from every single door, but also up here in the top, there is a single button that lowers all 4 windows at the same time. What do you think of that?
I like that.
That's
Especially
cool.
when you have kids, they're rolling down them at separate times, and you want to roll them all up at the same time.
Yeah, and then there's a button up here as well that rolls down the rear window. Did it work?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Tons of airflow. I do wish the top would come off, you know, of the car. And then I have one more question for Cambry after all the windows roll back up. So this is your first time playing with these crazy knobs on the steering wheel. What
Yeah.
do you think about them?
Yeah, they're cool, they're big, but then I was surprised that you can like move them from side to side for other selections. So like the mirrors, that's how you adjust your mirrors, which was a little trippy, but I think they're pretty sweet.
The R1S has a range of about 330 miles with a battery pack that is 88 kilowatt hours. It can wade water up to 19.7 inches deep. A Lamborghini definitely can't do that. But my favorite thing is the headlights. Rivian is the first company in the United States that's been allowed to use adaptive drive beams on public roads. Oh, that's amazing. That's so cool. I'm normally not super picky when it comes to vehicles, but the lights of the Rivian R2 are insanely cool. For one, there's an internal stabilization system, so as you go up or down a hill, it levels the lights so you're never shining them where they're not supposed to be. As well as, there's a matrix LED system inside so that you can drive with your brights on all of the time. Block them out. Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah, I can see the okay. So right now we're catching up to a car and we're not going to shine the lights in his back window because it can tell that there's tail lights on him. So it's cool seeing the headlights adjust in real time. Heck yeah. It's kind of hard to capture at night, but you can see as cars drive towards us on this canyon road, the lights will turn off in segments as the cars pass, and then turn back on after they're gone. And if we're following behind a car, it will create a tunnel within the headlights, so we're not shining our brights inside of their back window. You can see it shining high above the car on the left side and on the right side, but where the car is, it's just like a perfect tunnel of light that the Rivian is creating for all the other cars. Nice of Rivian to be thinking of other people. I think someday every car on the road is going to have this style of headlights, and it's super cool that Rivian is the first. Even though the R2 is about half the price as the R1s, like the R1T and the R1S, Rivian still left the flashlight inside of the door, which is kind of fun. You can pull it out and always have a flashlight with you. But Rivian has also released a power bank / hand warmer that fits into the same slot. So you can always have a hand warmer ready to go inside of your car door if you so choose. So Cambry, there are 2 problems that I think we're gonna run into for our particular situation. So if you double press that button, it will open the front, and it is a powered open frunk, but it does not close. What is your horse doing?
It's rolling. It's hot.
What the heck? Do you think she'll fit in the front trunk? Anyway, so once you open the front, I don't think you'll be able to close it again. Because if you press the button twice, will it close? Yeah, it is only a power open. Hey, don't do that. No.
It's rugged.
Oh, hey.
When there's a will, there's a way.
Look at that. All right. The heck yeah.
I didn't even finish closing.
Nice work. All right. I thought it was going to be a problem, but it is not. All right. Now to the second one, which might still be a problem. The car seats.
For the kids.
You're not getting in, dude. You got to get out of here. Get. So I got you a stuffed animal to play with. We call this guy the Scare Bear.
The Rivian Yeti. Okay.
There's your kid.
This is a very light child. I'd have to reach in here. It's not too terrible. If it rotated, we have had some that rotate.
Interesting.
It might be possible.
Should
I'll
I go
have to
grab
try
her?
our baby carrier.
Okay. I thought it was going to be an instant no. Here we go. I'm going to grab the baby carrier. All right, we have the actual baby car seat now. Cambry has the baby. He's a little furry little guy. And let's see if this works. That's a little high.
It was a little high. I don't know.
So Rivian, if you're watching, it'd be helpful if the door would open a tiny bit more. Do you see how it's like not 90?
It's not 90.
I don't want to be picky, but if it could be 90, that would be amazing. Oh, you're so close. The other solution is Cambry grows taller.
I think that's not happening.
As long as the baby doesn't wiggle too much. Babies don't wiggle, right?
No, not at all. I mean, it
Congrats,
might be.
Scare Bear.
I'd have to try it with a little heavier human.
You're so close.
Oh, no, there it goes.
Nice. They do have those car seats that kind of swivel and pull out. I don't know if we want to try just like a different brand of car seat.
Yeah, interesting fact, car seats do expire even if you haven't been in a car accident, so we're probably going to look at needing a new car seat anyway.
Huh, okay. Well, so it's not a no.
It's a maybe.
It's a maybe.
More research is needed.
Yeah, so the best-selling cars in the United States are the Tesla Model Y and the Toyota RAV4, and now Rivian has their R2 positioned perfectly right there with those top two, and I know which one I would choose out of those three anyway.
It's looking promising, let's just say that.
That's cool. What the? Get out, dude. No. Anyway, before I get eaten by a horse, you want to finish this off?
Thanks a ton for watching.
We'll see you around.